Happy Sunday, everybody. So how is everybody tonight? I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving this week, or is everybody in a food, what do they call it, a food coma? So I did get a lot of good food. I went to Judy's house and she made wonderful turkey and the whole 9 yards. So it was really good. I had a little bit left for lunch today. So I got Thanksgiving again today. So we're going to work on the borders tonight. Hi. I'm not sure who's saying hi yet. I can't see. Oh, it's Deb. So we're going to work on the borders for Candy Cane Lane today. And I did get my blocks all done and I sewed them together because I kind of wanted to show you the difference between what they, the original one, which was the kit from Kimberbell, and then my fabrics, because some of my fabrics were different, So I wanted to kind of show you the little bit of differences in those. So hello. So yeah, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, good and safe. We need to be safe too. I think everybody ate plenty. So I know that I was full on Thursday. I had a really good time though. So, but I've been working on stuff in the house and I've been doing some sewing. And today I worked, got my table toppers. So before I end tonight, I'll show you, I got the rest. I got 4 of the Kimberbell cuties that we're going to start in January done. So I got 4 of them done anyway. So making some progress anyway. All right. So let me turn off the banner here and let me show you the, let me see here. Let me show you. Oh, heavens, we got a cat that's helping here. Just a minute. My cat is deciding that she needs to help tonight. Okay, so here's my blocks. I got my blocks kind of sewn together. I'll just kind of hold them up here. Okay, so here's the ones that I just finished for the class. I mean, if I hold them up this way, maybe you can see. So here's the blue house and the tree. So there's the tree with the lighter colors. Okay. And the red house and the cocoa stand and the other end. So I just sewed those together. And we'll talk about this again. We'll talk about this again next week when we go to put the pillow together. But I just sewed mine together just so that they were all in one piece so you could kind of see them all. It was easier for me to hold them up this way. So, okay. So there's the ones that I've got done. And then the differences in the colors, I had a few colors that were kind of different. So like, here's the original one. This was the kit. So you can see my tree's quite a lot lighter. My blue house is quite a bit different. And then the pink on the red house is quite a little bit different. So, and then also, I think they look good. And then also my borders are quite a little bit darker. So I've got the borders up here and we'll start these tonight too. But my border is quite a little bit, it's a little bit more this color down here. So my border's a little different too. So yeah, so I like the colors. The color difference was nice. All right, so we set this over here. Get it out of the way. So tonight we're going to do the quilting on the borders. Now, whoops, I'm stuck on my chair mat. Okay, so let me turn my camera over here and we will talk about some of the stuff you need to do the borders. So basically the borders have to be sewn together first. So I did sew them together. So let me I gotta always hit the right buttons here. Turn down the camera and change the microphone. Okay, so hopefully you can still hear me okay. All right, let me turn here so I can see what I'm looking at. And so here are some of the things you're going to need to do the borders. So I did have to sew my border pieces together. So they're those ones that were like, seems like they were like 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. Okay, so the 3 1/2 inch side, that's the width of the border is going to be, it's going to finish at 3. So you're going to sew them together on the short side so that the longer way is going this way, okay? And can't remember exactly how big they were. Let me check the measurement. It's been a while since I've cut them out, so I can't remember. Let's see here. That's in the book in the front somewhere. Seems like it was an odd size, like 4 3/4 or something like that for the length. But that's the way you sew the short ends together. So you're going to sew the 3.5-inch edges together. I think it was 4 3/4 by 3.5. Okay. All right. So what I did for mine, since I had, similar fabrics to the quilt or to the original kit, I just kind of took the picture here and I looked at the colors, how they had them, and I just kind of put them on that way. And you just want them to look kind of random, So that's what I did. So I sewed them together with a 1/4-inch seam. Okay. So I have my 1/4-inch seam and I just pressed it to the side when I was done, but I got all my 2 borders put together with all the blocks. And I think there's 9 blocks in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 blocks in each one. Okay. And then I marked them so that I remembered which one was the top of the top of the pillow and which one was the bottom. I just marked it with one of those heat pens just so that I could remember which one was which. Okay. Without having to look it up in the book again, I could tell from the fabric, but okay. So I have them and I have them sewn together and I pressed them. I didn't figure you needed to watch me sew those little things together, but you're sewing the 3.5-inch sides together, okay, to make them, and then it makes them longer. So this is the 4 3/4 side this way, okay. All right. So then you're going to need, I used the Kimberbell Quilting Design Border Christmas 2 is the one I used for mine, and I think that's the one they used in the example too, as I remember. So I used Border Christmas 2. So there was only 2 quilting designs that we used for this design. Okay, and then I'm going to use one of my little sew line. This happens to be the Quilter Select one, but the sew line glue pen. We're going to use this to put our. Do you press the seams open? You can if you want. I press mine to the side. These are thin and there's no stabilizer on it. Now, I do not put stabilizer on my borders generally. You can put the Shape Flex if you want. I normally don't. I mean, with the borders, they're on batting and there's not that many stitches in them. I normally don't, but you can if you want. Okay. So I just did mine then to the side like I normally do when I'm piecing quilt blocks. Okay. So either way works fine. I normally do not use the Shape Flex on my borders though. It's just so hard to cut them. They're long and skinny and So then I need to decide what size of design that I'm going to use. Now, I didn't want to have to hoop this any more times tonight than is necessary. And I also wanted to do both borders at the same time. So these borders are, we cut them at 3.5. So that means they're going to finish at 3 inches. So we're going to be using a 3-inch wide design. The designs will be 3.5 inches though. So 3.5 and 3.5 is 7. So I would probably tell you to, if you have it, and a lot of you would, an 8 by 12 hoop, because I'm going to quilt 2 of these at a time. So I don't have to do them individually. But if you have a narrower hoop, like if you only have a 6 by 10 hoop, you'll probably need to do one of these at a time, these 3-inch ones. The littler ones, the 1-inch ones that we're going to do in a little while, those you could do together. But I'm going to show you how to do these together. Now, I didn't want to have to hoop these any more times than necessary, so I have bigger hoops. So I did go up to the 9.5 by 14 hoop, just so that I could do only 3 hoopings and it would quilt the whole border. The borders are about 38 inches long. No, they're not quite that long. I think they were only about 36, maybe about 36. Let me go measure. No, they're about 38. I thought they were about 38. So they're about 38. So I didn't want to have to hoop these too many times. So I used the 9.5 by 14 hoop so that I'd only have to hoop them 3 times. Because that'd be about 39. They're going to be about 13 inches long. They're close to 14 actually. So I'm only going to have to hoop it 3 times. Okay. So that's why I chose this hoop. And if you only have smaller hoops, you'll just have to hoop it a 4th time. It's no big deal. So just use the hoop that's best for you. Okay. So this is a 9.5 by 14. I have a piece of no-show mesh hooped in my hoop already, and that's all I have in there. I have my regular bobbin thread in the bobbin, and I have my white embroidery thread in the bobbin, or in the needle, because that's what I'm going to quilt mine in, and is white. Okay. Now the other thing you need besides your borders here is your batting pieces, and we're going to be quilting this like block by block. So we're going to be using several, and I've just got my chunks here again, like I normally do. Okay. So these are my little chunks of batting. Oops, it looks like I got a chunk of cat hair too. So this is my chunks of batting that I use because I don't cut my batting. Okay. So now we're going to go over here and we're going to find our design. So we decided that the finished block or the finished border was 3 inches. So we have to go find our Christmas border, Christmas 2. So I'm going into my stick and I'm going to go down to my Kimberbell Quilting Designs. And I'm going to choose border, and it's border Christmas 2. And my embroidery files, and I'm doing the block by block ones tonight. So we're going to do block by block, just like we did the other ones. And then as you can see, the narrower ones that we're going to do later, I don't know if you can see it too well, but there's like, it's like little, almost like little leaves. But when you get to the wider ones, you get into these cool swirly ones. Okay. So that's what we're going to be using for this border. And, oh, you know what? You know what? They don't have a 3-inch by 14-inch one in here. They only have a 3 by 12. So we are going to have to hoop it 4 times. So I can actually go down to a smaller hoop. I'll just leave it in this one because that's the one I have in my machine right now. So I didn't realize they didn't have a 14-inch. Or maybe they do. Oh, here it is. It's 3 by 14. Sorry. I didn't see the 14. It's right next to it. So I'm going to choose the 3 by 14 because I don't want to have to hoop it as many times. Okay. Yep. I see it. It's right there. I kind of had my hand over or something. I didn't see it. So 3 by 14. So that's the one we're going to do. And it's kind of that swirly pattern. Okay. So we'll do that. Got that one up here. I'm going to set it and I'm going to hit embroidery. Now the one thing with this one, I do want to do 2. So before I hit embroidery, I'm actually going to go up to my edit button up here. Maybe. And I'm going to hit duplicate because I want a second one because I'm going to do 2 of these at the same time. And let's see if it actually duplicated. Nope. Second here. Let me center that again. Sorry, it didn't duplicate for me. There we go. Okay, so there's duplicated. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over, hit the move button, and I'm going to move it over a little bit. We're going to move this one over, the other one over a little bit. Just leave a little space in between, just so you have a little space in there. Whoops. So I'm just going to move it over a little bit. Let's get this one. I'm going to just move it up a little bit so that they're about even. And we just need to stay within our 9.5 by 14 hoop. So that's plenty enough room in between. So just need a little space. Okay. And I'm going to click OK. So I've got 2 of them up there that are the same. The other thing I'm going to do then is I want to make sure that they're at level with each other. So if I select them both at the same time, there's a button right here that is a select all button. And I can select all, and then I can actually I can align them both to the bottom so that they're aligned perfectly up and down. Okay, my machine has the alignment buttons. Some of the machines don't. And I really like that because when I'm trying to get things so that they're exactly the same. So I just aligned them at the bottom so they're both in the same spot. And then I'll just hit the, this little button here is the center button. So then they're centered exactly in the hoop. Okay. So we've got plenty of space. You can see, whoops, you can quite see the numbers. We got plenty of space when it comes to the width. Okay. All right. And then I got my two, got them a little ways apart. I'm going to hit embroidery. All right, so now we're ready to embroider, but I want to be able to do both of these at the same time. So I don't want to have to stop and do one side and then the other side. I want to do them both at the same time. So I'm going to hit my layout button. And then this button here that has the three little spools on it is the color sort button. And not all the machines have this either. It's pretty awesome because if I do this, they have all of the designs digitized with the same colors. So that way, now when I look at this, it's going to do all of the placement lines, then all of the tack down lines, and then all of the second placement line and all the second tack down lines all together. So I don't have to do all of them separately from each other. Okay, so I really like that because it really helps and makes it a lot faster. All right, so does that make sense to everybody? So sorry, I didn't see the 3x14 the first time. I thought they usually have a 14 for everything. So that's why I was like, why, where did it go? But I didn't, I must have had my hand over it. Okay. So these patterns, of course, are the same for each one. So the first thing that happens with all of the quilting designs, and if you need the quilting instructions, remember the instructions that I have here are just for the design, you know, for the embroidery part of it. If you need the instructions for the quilting, just download the instructions from the quilting design itself and print them out, and it has all the steps listed in there. But I have a couple of little tricks that work better for me when it comes to these quilting designs. Okay. So we have our two designs up. They're 3 inches wide by 14 inches long. And then I duplicated them, got them all centered, and now we're ready. And then I color sorted. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to stitch out. So step number 1 is always, I got to raise this arm up just a little bit so it won't hit it. The first step that happens is always the placement line for the batting. So we'll do that first. And so what I do is I have a big enough piece of batting that I can put it over the whole thing, okay? So hopefully I have enough batting tonight. I had to find some more chunks of batting. I didn't have too many that were this long. So we're going to do the 2 wide borders, and then we'll do the 2 narrow borders. The 2 narrow borders I'll also do in 1 hooping. I'll probably do those in a 8x12. I'll have to hoop it one more time, but it's just a little, they're so narrow. I thought it wastes a lot of stabilizer in this bigger hoop. So, but this one I thought would be nice because then we could do it just a little faster. So yeah, so most of the designs I think go up to 14. I think that's the longest designs that Kimberbell does. Even though some of us have longer hoops yet, I think the biggest ones they have are 14, like for the 9.5 by 14. All right, so we're getting our placement lines. And I've just got regular bobbin thread again and my white embroidery thread in the bobbin, or in the needle. Hi, Clara. Okay. So I'm going to lay my chunk of batting over the 2 placement lines now. Make sure they cover. I think it covers okay. All right. So we're going to cover those up. And then it's going to stitch out. The next steps are always going to be, hi, Anna. So the next steps are always going to be the tack down lines for the batting. You might need to kind of hold this batting. It's a little bit big if you're using one of these bigger hoops. But it sure saves a lot of time having to cut all that batting. Because I remember the first time I did this, I trimmed all the batting, and I'm like, I'm not want to cut all this batting. So I thought, why don't I just lay the chunk up there? You got to trim it anyway. So much faster. I don't like to cut very well, so it's my least favorite part to do. Yeah, so I finished up the March and April table toppers because I didn't have the decorations on them, so I got those done today too. So is it everybody getting ready for Christmas now? Is everybody trying to get their Christmas presents done and purchased and get ready for the next holiday? Seems like it goes so fast, doesn't it? Seems like I'm never ready. This year's not, I'm not too ambitious about Christmas this year, so I'll probably be doing everything at the end. So, oh, and don't forget that we have at the store, if you're close enough to come see us on Thursday this week and Saturday, the 1st and the 3rd of December is already this week. Can you believe it? We're doing our little Kimberbell demo December. So if you haven't already signed up, please sign up. Just email me. And you can come on either Thursday. See, Thursday's at 1, the 1st, and the 3rd is at 10:30 in the morning. Yeah, it's hard for me to get ready for Christmas this year a little bit. I don't buy many gifts anyway because I don't have any family. So I buy gifts for my friends. So I've been working on that already a little bit. I've been making gifts. I like to make gifts. I make a fair amount of my gifts. So I either make gifts or small gifts, and then I do a lot of gift cards. Gift cards anymore are really nice because then they can go buy whatever they want. But I do always make at least something. All right, so we got these all tacked down, and now we're going to trim them. Okay, so now we're doing the trimming. So you won't be able to see me down here at the bottom. You've seen me trim before, so trim down here at the bottom first. These long hoops, it's hard to show them on the screen. All right. So I might be doing some separate pieces of batting for some of these since I've got, see what I've got for chunks here. All right, up the side. Sometimes I start with the narrow ones first, but I thought, oh, let's do the wide one first. This one's really pretty. I like the little swirly. And you can use any of the Christmas, there's several Christmas border ones. I think there might be maybe 4 different Christmas borders now, so you could use any of them. This one's a little bit less specifically Christmas. It's a little bit more generic, but it's cute. It's snowy. Has like snowflakes on it. All right, up the center here. See if I can cut around the camera. All right, there's that one. I've got one more side here. And then you guys are in charge of making sure I remember to do my fabric placement lines. That's the lines I always forget. I always forget those because it's hard to get your fabric in the right spot without them. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, got that. Got the trimming done. Hi, everybody. Oh, no. Oh, Cindy? Oh, no. What a bummer. So it's going to be hard to do stuff, isn't it? All right, so the next step in all of the quilting designs. Oh, yeah. Marianne and I have birthdays about 2 days apart. So, you know, we always have that December birthday thing. Okay, so now it's going to go around and it's going to do the placement line for the fabric. Let me get my borders ready here. And the little trick with the glue for the next section really helps a lot. I really struggled with this with the tape because they originally told you to tape everything. I really struggled with the little tape rolls. So the little glue stick, get your little sew line glue sticks out. This is my quilter's choice one. I've got the other one here. Here it is. The sew line ones are pink. This is the one that had more glue in it, so I picked this one today. I've got to cut 2 or 3 of these. Okay, so it's getting our placement lines on. All right. So I'm going to find the tops of both of mine because these are the top. I marked where the top was of both these, so they're kind of going the same direction. Okay. So then I'm going to take my glue stick, and I hope I can show this. This is going to be a little tough because these are so long. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to run it across the top. Okay, I'll just go do one at a time. And I push about, in the instructions I think it says a 1/2 inch, but I only use about a 1/4 inch above the the line, the placement line up there. And I'm just going to stick it down with the glue. Okay, and let's just do one at a time because it makes it easier. Okay, in between these placement lines here. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to run it down between the batting and the placement line. And I'll do it in a couple swatches since this one's so long. Okay, do a couple of them. And then I'm going to bring my border down and stick it down to the stabilizer with inside those placement lines. So it keeps your borders nice and straight then. Because I really struggled because my borders were really crooked with the tape. I just couldn't get the tape to stick for me and it just wasn't working for me. All right. So I am going to take this out so I can push it up on the machine. Just a second here. So we can do the bottom half here. All right, so we'll do the same thing. I'm going to add the glue at the bottom part here. Down to here. But this really helped me get my borders straight by using the glue. All right, pull this down. And we're going to slip it in between the placement lines. Usually I take this out and do it over on the table with these longer hoops, but I wanted you to be able to see. So that's why I'm pulling the hoop out so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so make sure it's all nice and stuck down. I'm just going to check it all the way up. Okay, so there's the first. And I do not have shape flex on the back of my borders. I just have them fabric. Okay, so let's do the other one. Pull this back and we'll do the across the top there. I'm going to find the top of this one. And I'm pushing it in. I've got about a 1/4 inch or so above. Okay. And push it down. Now you will probably have to trim just a little bit of these borders off when you go to put it together. And I know I think I trimmed off maybe an 1/8 or a 1/4 inch on each end, something like that. All right, so then we're going to do the glue between here. Oops, second here, I got to turn it up a little bit. And put our glue on. I'll just go part way down to start. And glue this down. But after I figured this out, boy, it sure helped this part. The whole tape thing, rolling the little tape up and all that just didn't work for me. Everything was scooting around on me, and so this works way better. Okay. All right, so push this in. Go down. Whoops, gonna get a little more glue there. So I'm just putting the glue in between the batting and the placement line. That's why I like the Soline glue sticks, because they're narrower. They're only like a 1/4 inch or so on the tip. So, and I meant to bring the pillow home, but of course, it's still at the store. I forgot to bring my little pillow home for the class this week. So it is this Thursday. First one's Thursday and the second one's Saturday. So it's already this week. Okay. All right, so I got my borders all glued down. Okay, and then of course, the ends are hanging down here at the end. Just be careful, don't get them under your hoop. If you give me just a second, I'm going to pull this back so I can get this hoop back in here. And I'm holding it. Do you see I'm holding it here? Because this hoop is a little tight sometimes. Okay. Now, the next thing it's going to do, and this is the way the steps always are, the next step is going to be the tack down line for the fabric, and it's going to tack it down. Just kind of watch it. Just going to tack down along the edge here. Goes in about 1/8 of an inch from the placement line. It's going to do it on both sides. But I really like the color sort because then you can do, you can do the same steps on each one. You don't have to do one border and then the other. If your machine doesn't have the color sort on it, you can color sort them in software if you happen to have software. So you can do them all at the same time, or you can just do one border and then the other border. So whichever works for you. I used to color sort all the time in my software. So if you have software, you may be able to do it in there. All right, so down this side. Now, so in January, we're going to start the Kimberbell cuties, the old ones, the regular sewn ones. We're going to do those first, and then we may do the ones that you do in the hoop. Maybe the next year we'll do those. And then in January, we're also going to have a scan and cut class. I haven't decided exactly what to do for that yet. And then we're going to do the photo stitch. People were interested in my photo stitches last year. And I went back and checked, and I haven't taught that photo stitch class for like 4 years. So I'm going to go, I'm going to go back, or 3.5. So I think I'm going to go back and teach the photo stitch class so that people that are new can do that. Okay. And now we're ready. We got them all tacked down. Now we're ready for the quilting. So the last step is the quilting. So it's going to do that pretty swirly design. Put the cap on my glue so I don't have glue all over everything. All right, so off it goes. I really like the this pattern. It's sort of like real big swirls with, like, I think it might have had snowflakes on it too. Yeah, I think it has snowflakes too. Yeah, it had the snowflakes on in kind of the middle, and there's a smaller one at the end. But I thought it was really pretty. I like the white thread because it really does show quite a bit. Oh, for you old folks too, Margaret. Yep. Yeah, I haven't taught it for a while, and I teach it. I am going to teach it a little differently this time because I have a lot of people with the PE Design Next or Palette, the Baby Lock Palette 9, or Next is version 9 software, so the older software. So I teach the class slightly differently in the new software. So we'll do both of them. So those of you who have the older software need to do it just slightly differently, but you'll still get the same results. I had to learn a new way to do photo stitch with the new software. So we'll teach it a little differently this time and we'll do like both of them at the same time. But I'll do that in January. That'll be the last weekend in January. Hello. People are still coming in. Hello. So we'll do that at the last weekend in January, and then we'll probably do photos, or we'll probably do scan and cut the 3rd week, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I'll come up with something. I haven't thought about that yet. So the first 2 weeks will be the cutie. So the first week we will piece the quilt, the top, because it's actually going to be pieced like a traditional quilt. And then the second week we will do the embroidery, but I'm going to do a pre-recorded video for the quilting. So then I'll have that ready for the first week, and I'll upload it so you can watch the video for the quilting. And then you can do your quilting with me on the pre-recorded video. Can you do photo stitch and PEP? No, Cindy, you can't. They have a photo stitch section that you can purchase, but it's very bad. So until they get it better, I wouldn't recommend it for anybody. So what for people with the baby locks, will scan and cut, or will scan and cut work for them? Yes, of course it will, Anna. They just won't talk directly to each other. There's some of the machines that talk directly to the scan and cut, but But yes, you can use it with it, and it reads the PES files, and the way I create my cut files with my PES also works in the baby locks. So yes, absolutely. It just doesn't have that connection. There's a new thing called My Connection that the baby lock does not have, but it works otherwise, so it's no different. And for the cuties, do I use my own material? Yes. So I'm going to show those to you at the end of the class. I've just been using my own fabric. The cuties, the original cuties, were done before they actually had a line of fabric, so none of them were done with any Kimberbell fabric. So I'm just doing mine in whatever I have here. I'm just doing something similar, you know, to their. I'm just looking at the picture and picking out something similar. So I have mine here. I have 4 of them done, so you can see. So yeah, I'm just using my own fabric. You can get kits for them. There's several places that have kits if you want a fabric kit. So you can get a fabric kit. I know that Wish Upon a Quilt has like a kit club that you can get a kit every month. You join it and you can get a kit every month. And then I think my girlfriend's quilt shop has kits. So, okay. So now we have the first section of our borders done. So I'm going to pull this out and we're going to remove these from the hoop. Now I need to get some more stabilizer behind me, so I'll lay this back here on the table. Okay, so what I do with these, we need to get this rest of this stabilizer off here. So I usually, you can take your rotary cutter if you want. I normally don't. I just grab my scissors and I just cut this off. It's faster for me. I'm not very good with a rotary cutter, so I just use my scissors. So whichever works for you, you can use your rotary cutter or use scissors. So I'm just going to trim this off. So trim all the stabilizer off all the way around. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Just cutting up right up to the fabric. Don't cut into your fabric. These are really cute borders. I like this method. The little block by block methods and then their clear blue tie methods work so well. So, and then I'm going to flip the tail back. This is the end. I'm going to flip that tail back, and I want to trim right up to the edge of the batting so that there's not much stabilizer, you know, past the batting. I want it to be pretty even on the bottom. And that makes it go together better. Okay. That one, let me get the other one here. This part's really fun. I like doing the borders and stuff. It doesn't take too long. You know, 3-4 hoopings usually, depending on, you know, how long things are, how long your hoop is. And if you have a little bitty hoop, even if you have a little 5x7, you can still do these. Just takes a little longer. You got to hoop it more times. All right, so I'm trimming down this side. I don't think I cut my blocks very straight. Not the best cutter. All right, so here's my tail. Be careful, don't cut your tails off. I'm going to flip my tail back, and then I'm going to trim right up against that batting there, okay? All right, there's that one. Put the scissors back down here and get them out of the way. All right, so there's our first hoopings. There's where the batting ends, okay? All right, so now let me grab my hoop back here and rehoop it again. I'm going to put another piece of the no-show mesh stabilizer in. It's easier to do this up on the cutting table because it's so long. Okay, so I rehooped my hoop again. So this is going to be the second hooping. Rehoop my hoop. Okay, whoops, don't want to lose my borders here. Okay, so now we don't need to change our design. We've already got it in there. We're going to use that same design. I'm going to tug on my stabilizer a little bit here. All right. So again, the first step is going to be the, there we go. This is the hoop that's kind of tight in my machine. Okay. This one again is going to be our placement line for our batting. So I got to see what I got for chunks of batting here that are really long. I got this piece that's long enough. Let's see. Maybe this one too. We have to do this in 2 chunks. So yeah, so I think the cuties are going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to them. And they're fun because some of you I know are not really piecers. You know, you don't really quilt really, but this is a good way because the blocks are really easy. And I just like piecing a little bit. You know, I don't piece a lot either, but it's fun. I find it fun. So we're gonna do some piecing this year. And so every month we'll have a sewing class. Would you ever center the quilting design and do that one first and then do the ends? You could. I don't know that it would really make that much difference, Nancy. Their quilting designs appear seamless. So I don't know that it would make that much difference. You could, but I've never done it that way because then you'd have to turn it to do the other side. So like if you did the center first, you'd have to turn it to go down the other end. So it might not look as seamless because one side's going to be the wrong direction. Does that make sense? Okay. So I think I'm going to have to do this one in 2 chunks. So we'll do this little chunk here. So we'll have to stop the machine. This one's long enough, but it wasn't very wide. So I'm just going to have to hold it and do this one side, and then we'll do the other side. Does that make sense? This one's just barely wide enough, but it'll work. Won't have much to trim off, will I? There we go. Won't have much to trim off on that one, will I? This hoop always sounds funny because it's so long. It seems like it has a little chatter to it. I've always noticed that when I get especially the big one does that. I think it just vibrates a little bit on the table probably. All right, so it's got me going around there. So I'm going to have to stop the machine so that I can get the second piece on there. But this is the way I use up my batting scraps. It's a good way to do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it cut, and then I'll stop it so that when it goes over here, I can get this piece of stabilizer in here first. Okay. I've got some more chunks over here, but I didn't have too many long ones. Had to go find some more in the back room. I got a bag of them in the back room. So yeah, so I've been working on a few Christmas presents. I'm not going to make too much this year. I've got so many things to do. It's like, you know, with the house, my house, Dad's house, all the paperwork. Tomorrow I have paperwork meetings, so it's like, yeah. I don't like paperwork, and it's like that's about all I get done. Spent the whole evening last evening paying bills for 2 houses, so but it's done. Got it done. There's always something to keep me busy, that's for sure. I don't get bored. All right, so we're going to get our tack down stitches here. How much is the pillow kit? I think we're going to do 15 for them. Marianne, they're just going to be available that day. We're not taking orders. But I think we decided 15. I forgot to ask Lynn to, again, I think that's what we decided on. Okay, so we're going to trim these. But I do have some, I have a few. We don't have tons, but we have quite a few kits for the little pillow. And we're going to make sure that there's some available for each day in each store so that everybody has a chance to get a kit. And if we need to make some more, we might be able to make some more. I think we might be able to get our hands on some more fabric. So it's hard to find fabric for Kimberbell in a hurry because we don't have access to it without ordering it. So we kind of wanted to do the fabrics that were in the design. It was really cute. I kind of liked it that way. And so, you know, we had to try to find the fabric. So yeah, so we wanted to try to make it fair. So the kits are going to be, you know, there's going to be kits available both days at both stores to make it fair for everybody. And if there's people there the first day that don't get a kit, that they wanted one, we'll take names. And if there's any left over after the second day, then you'll be able to get one. And otherwise, we'll try to make some more if we can get a hold of some more fabric. So Lynn was checking on that, I think. But we wanted to make sure that people, you know, if people really wanted a kit, they could get one. We made quite a few. All right. So I got those two little chunks, at least, didn't I? Okay. So now it's going to be, the next step is going to be our placement line for the, I think there's a little enough there that I could use yet. Placement line for the fabric. Yeah, the pillow's really cute. I'm looking forward to doing it, and it'll be fun. We'll sit and we'll just have a sewing day. I'll just sit and sew, and you can hang out and watch me, and then you can get a free design at the end. So what a deal, huh? We'll talk through the project, and I'll just sew on. I need to make probably, I need to do a little pre-sewing maybe. Oh, yes, the kit. We're we're talking about the December demo, the Kimberbell design. It's the little pillow, and we will have some kits available, and that's the class that's in the store on Saturday the 1st, or I'm sorry, Thursday the 1st of December or Saturday the 3rd. Oh, good. That's good, Cindy. I was going to say, otherwise, I am allowed to email it. We just decided not to do a virtual version this year. We wanted to do an in-store version. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get my glue stick. But we are allowed to do it virtually. I just decided this year we were going to do it in the store. Tim's been wanting people in the store, and I've had to be so careful, you know, with my dad. So I haven't been working with groups of people much. All right, so we're going to put this across the top. Let's do one at a time. All right, so this one was the top one. I had that on this side, so we'll do this one. Okay, so I'm going to flip the tail back to expose that batting, okay? And we need to lay this down underneath there. Okay. And I'm going to try to butt the batting right up next to each other the best I can and press down. I get it as close as I can. And we'll do one of these at a time. So I'm going to do some glue down the sides here. I'm going to take my tail and pull it down. And then we'll get it lined up. Press it down. I think I'm going to have to take this out so I can get a little more pressure on it here. There we go. Put this up again. Put a little more glue on. Okay. So the kits have the fabric, the kits for the little pillow have the fabric but they don't have any batting in it. So there'll be some batting needed for that too, because there's quilting in it also, but the batting's not in there. It's just the fabrics. Okay, so let me get this all the way down to the bottom. Stick it down. Boy, I tell you, the glue trick really helped me. I can actually get my borders straight now. Remember the first one I did, it was really crooked. You're welcome, Leslie. Thank you. Okay, just make sure that that's nice and pressed down. Okay, and then the other thing is be careful. You know, now we got a tail up here too. Don't get it stuck under your hoop. So let's do the other one here. Pull this out. I'm gonna go get some glue at the top here. Well, we need to bring a stick for the design. No, Marianne, what I'm going to do is I am going to email everyone the design because we can email it. And I thought I would email it to everybody because then I didn't have to sit there for an hour and put designs on sticks. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to butt that batting right up to the other piece of batting, right in between my lines there. Get it as close as I can. And I'm going to grab my little tail here. Press it down nice, and then we're going to put the glue on. So yeah, I'm going to email everybody the design. Okay, so we're going to bring this down. It was just, you know, sometimes when there's quite a few people there, it just takes forever to get all the, you know, get all the sticks written and everything. So I thought the emailing would be easier. So I'll be working on that this week. I got to do a little pre-sewing and a few things. So I'll get that done this week. All right, so we got sticking it down in between my lines. Flip my tail up. Get this one, the bottom part done. Okay, get this down. It's been a little while since I've made the pillow. I hope I remember how I did it. I did it about a month ago. A lot of water's gone under the bridge since then. My goodness. There's always something to do, you know. This morning I had a little, I about panicked because I'd lost some, I thought I'd lost some papers that I needed for tomorrow, and I found them. I put them away where I thought they'd be nice and safe. Well, you know, sometimes that's not the best thing. Okay, so when we put this back in, we got a tail up here, so just be careful, okay? Not to get it stuck, and then the other tail is down here yet. I'm gonna put this back in the machine. And I gotta be careful when I push it in, okay? All right, so then the next step is gonna be our tack down. Looks pretty good. And I always just kind of watch to make sure nothing moves when it's tacking down. Usually it does pretty well. Got a bunch of strings, don't I? Yeah, I think the first design I did this way was the whole design. It might have been Love Notes, actually. I think that was the first one that I did with the designs, completely with the designs. And I only did part of the quilt. I still like to quilt it through all the layers, so I don't use the method very often that's block by block when I'm doing larger items. I like it for these small ones. It just looks so neat with the small ones. So I usually use the I usually quilt the designs in the machine, often with Design Center. So like the quilts, I still like to do it that way. We'll do another quilt. We'll have to do another quilt one of these days so that we can quilt it in in the hoop with the design center. Okay, so there is the tack down. Now we're right back to our design again. All right, so we'll do the designs, and we only have one more hooping on this one. These are going to look really pretty. My colors were just a little different. I had a different fabric in this one. I didn't have one of the red fabrics, so mine has the little herringbone in it, so I have a little different red in mine. I think otherwise the fabrics were about the same, but my green was lighter. I still think it looks good though. I've seen these done in all different colors, and you can really do anything you want. I like the traditional Christmas colors. It's one of my favorites are the traditional ones, but I've seen them done in blues. I've seen them done in pinks. Those are cool for Christmas too. Yep, there's that great big snowflake. Yeah, these are cute borders. I like them. Got one more hooping on this one. And then we'll get started on the small border, but I think once you've seen this one, you can do the small border. It's done the same way, but it's just going to be narrower, a narrower design. So we'll set it up on the screen the same way we did this one and get started, but I won't finish the whole thing tonight. Yeah, I like the colors. Mine were just a little lighter colored. I didn't have some of their solids. They call them silky solids, I think, the new Kimberbell solids. Mine are Waverly solids, so the colors are, close, but they're not quite the same. So I'd some of mine are lighter. I know this one was lighter, and my green was lighter. But I like it. Okay, so I'm just going to go over and do the other one. And then I'll show you how I do the ends, because you do have to sew off the ends. So you want to be a little careful with that. But these are really fun to do. I enjoy the quilting in the hoop like this. It makes it really fun. I love doing this for the pillows. I've only done like a part of a quilt this way, just because I prefer to quilt through the backing. So when I did the cuties, I wanted to be able to quilt through the backing. So that's why I kind of do them backwards, because I'm piecing it, quilting it, and then doing the embroidery, because I wanted to have it quilted through. And so I used an edge-to-edge technique with the cable tiles. So that seems to work very well. I like the looks on the back, so I'll show them to you here in a minute. So it's just different. I just kind of think it through in a way that it would work for me. So that seems to work, because I am not a free motion quilter, so I need to use my embroidery machine to quilt. Because it's perfect every time, and when I free motion quilt, it is definitely not perfect. And I would say definitely not perfect anytime, because I'm not very good at it. But I can do it if I have to. I've had to do a little bit of free motioning for a couple of my pillows, and it looks pretty good. I mean, it's not great, but it's acceptable. One of my my favorite card making people says that it's better than horrible. I like that. So that it's better than horrible with my free motion quilting. I don't know how much better than horrible, but it is better than horrible. But that's why I love my embroidery machine, because it does it for me. So, all right, so we're about done with this one, and then we're gonna do the last hooping on this, and I'll show you how to do the ends. All right, got one more piece of batting back there. All right, so there's that one. So we're gonna do the same thing with this. I'm gonna pull this out of the hoop. Ugh. And we'll trim it off. Maybe if I can get it out. second here. I always have to tape. I'm using pre-cuts, and so my pre-cuts are just a hair short. So I always tape the backs so that my bottom, top and the bottom don't gap when I'm using them. Oops, got to get my scissors again. Get my scissors. We're going to trim this off. It's going to be pretty. And if you wanted your quilting to be more prominent, you could certainly use a darker color. I like the white. Yeah, free motion quilting is not my thing. I do know how to do it and I can work with it, but I find it more difficult. I have a long arm, and I run it with robotics, but I mean, it works better for me and it makes more sense to me. Like when you're free motion quilting with a sewing machine, I have great respect for people that can do that. It's like you're moving the paper instead of moving the pencil while you're drawing. And I find that doesn't work with my head. So, and so I work better with moving the pencil. So like when you're long arming, it's like moving the pencil and the paper stays still, just like you know, my embroidery machine is actually more like free motion, but you know, the embroidery hoop works for me. So, all right, so get this cut off here. I'm doing both ends. Cut, you know, hold your ends back so you don't trim your ends off. I think I've got, did I get my piece? So I got the end down here off so that I don't have any batting down there or any stabilizer. All right, so we'll get this one. I love my long arm though, because it has, I'm so anxious to get to do a quilt because I haven't quilted a quilt for a really long time. And I love it because it is sort of like a huge embroidery machine. So I don't have to hoop only one time. You know, you don't have to rehoop it 20 times to do one little thing. You just hoop it once. So I do love my long arm. So I'm trimming this off. I flip the end back. Let me get the other side here. But I've never run, I'm a very good baster on my long arm. I've never run it manually. I probably never will because I have the robotics. So I'm kind of an embroidery girl. But I learned to quilt through my embroidery. So that's kind of the world that I've come from instead of a traditional, I'm not a very traditional quilter. So, okay, I'm going to flip this back, flip the end back so I don't cut that off, and I'm going to get trim close to my batting there. Okay. Okay. So now we just got these little ends down here. So let me get my hoop hooped again. Just a second here. Where's my other end? There it is. Okay, so here's my two borders. Give me a second here and I'll hoop up the hoop again. Okay, so I got my hooped up one last time here. Put this back in. And if you wanted to, you can actually do like 2 longer hoops and a shorter hoop, because remember, these designs are scaled. So they all are the same size, whether you use like a 12-inch or a 14-inch design, but I always just use the same design and just do a short end. So like this end is going to be a little short. Whoops, second here. I think my machine unthreaded itself here. Yep. What does it say? Oh, I'm sorry. I made it mad. Whoops. Helps, Jan, if you put the thread into the machine before you try to thread it. Oh yeah, because Marianne, are you happy to be using your machine again? All right, so we're gonna do our placement lines for our batting. Now these are shorter, so I might actually have some chunks here that are big enough. But I probably still need to use long ones. Let me see what I got here. Don't have much for long ones here. This one might be long enough. Let's see. I got another chunk here that'll work. Usually what I do with these is I still do the full size, but then I just let it go off on the batting. But we're going to tape it down so that the end of our fabric doesn't get caught in our hoop. So I don't know if these are quite long enough or not. No, I don't think so. I think I'm going to have to grab this other chunk. Okay. I had a bigger chunk fit back in the back room, so I just grabbed that. All right. Yeah, I just have the greatest respect for people who free motion quilt because some of the people I've seen, they're so good. And it's such a skill, and it's really a learned skill. I mean, you have to practice. And I've never gotten the feel for it, and I like my embroidery machine too much, so I guess I'll always be an embroiderer. Okay, so now I'm going to lay my chunk. I got a bigger chunk here. So I'm going to lay this down in here. This is a pretty big chunk of batting. Okay, and we're going to do our tack down lines. Yeah, I am too tense too. I think that's what everybody's told me, is that I'm too tense. They say you should drink a couple glasses of wine before you try free motion quilting. Loosen yourself up a little bit. I just am not relaxed enough, and I think that's why I'm trying to be too perfect, I think, and it just never has worked very well. But I can do it. I have done it enough that I can, at least do some basic, simple things. And I have done. There's a couple things at the store that I've free motioned a little bit on. So one of my Kimberbell pillows, the penguins, the little January one, I did. And I did a little free motioning on the center section because the little heads of the penguin, there's a penguin and there's 3 little penguins, but they're and there might be a snowman, but they are like down in the seam allowance of the pillow. So I had to free motion that center section. I couldn't quilt it before I put the applique on because it was down in the seam. So I finally just free motioned it, and there's not that much, so I was able to do pretty well. So it was a big thing when I got that. I did that. I worked on that last winter, actually, at Christmas time. During my break, I made that pillow. It was fun. I made this one too about a year ago originally, so it was fun. That's why I thought it'd be fun to teach this one this year, because it was so cute, and the blocks are not real hard. They take a little time, but they're not really long. So, all right, so we're about done with this. Got a bigger chunk of batting here, so we'll trim this one. But keep your scraps of batting, because they work great for these embroidery projects. And then, like the little narrow borders, I've got some that are long enough that are much narrower, so those will work. All right, so we're going to trim. Trimming done here, so I can show you how to finish it. All right, yep. Just got to watch out that my camera doesn't hit the hoop. Every now and then I hit the hoop with the camera, and then it gets off. Or the camera hits, I should say the hoop hits the camera, and then it hits the arm, and then it gets my hoop off. All right, get this trimmed. Get in between here. But using the chunks of batting works really great instead of having to sit there and cut all those batting pieces. Not a real fan of cutting. I've always struggled with cutting it. I have to be in the right mood to cut. I have to cut more kits for the cuties because I've got January through April done now. So I'm hoping to get May and June done. So then I'll be kind of halfway done. But I cut 2 kits out at the same time, so I have all the fabric ready. So it takes a little while. Sometimes it takes me a while to figure out what I want to use. So, all right. So there's my batting all trimmed, and now we're going to do the placement line for the fabric again. I got to find my Kimberbell tape because I need that here for this one. Got my fingers all sticky. Yeah, these are really cute. I like them. All right, so there's the first one. Here, going over to the second one. And then we're going to do the other 2 borders the same way. I am going to do my other 2 borders in a 12-inch hoop. Instead, I'll have to hoop it a 4th time just because I happen to like it to save some stabilizer. So since they're so narrow, I was just going to save some stabilizer. All right. So now we're ready to put these in. We're going to do the same thing we did before. Put the glue in here. Let me take this out first. See if I can get it out. Okay, so put the glue across the top here. Do one at a time. So I'm going to flip the tail back. So here's the tail, the end that we had. Then I'm going to flip this underneath here. Okay. Flip it back, and then we're going to line up the batting the best we can. I like to get it, the batting real close together so you don't really notice where they start and stop, and get everything lined up. Okay, and then I'm going to push it down into the glue. Now this one, we don't have too much left to do, see? So it's about 2/3 of it, all right? So we're going to glue this down. Maybe, if I can get it to flip back up again. Okay, let's do a little bit at a time here. Okay, glue this one down. These big long hoops are hard on the camera. They like to, it's hard to keep them in the camera. All right, so do a little bit more. Maybe if I have enough glue here. I go through a lot of these glue sticks when I'm doing this. Okay. In between my lines. Okay, got a little bit left here to do. At the bottom. Okay. So now, on our machine, some machines are different, but our machine has a stationary embroidery foot, so it doesn't hop up and down. So in this case, we need to cover up that raw edge, because if we don't, we will certainly put the foot right underneath there, and I can almost guarantee it. So I'm going to take some tape, and you got to get the tape down pretty hard. I don't like to put it up too far, maybe about 1/8 of an inch or a little more, but make sure you push it down well, because the foot will go under the tape also. That's why I don't like taping things in the hoop, because I always have trouble, like when I'm quilting and stuff, it just, I always have trouble with tape. The foot goes right under the tape. So try to do the best you can. And then when we're working around this area, we're going to be watching it. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to do the same thing over here. This one. Get the tail flipped up so I can get this lined up with my batting. Get that batting really lined up. And get your batting, as close as you can. And if you trim it real close, then it really lines up nice and you don't have much of a line there. You don't really see it. Okay, just a second. I'm going to pull this down, but I want to get this flipped up so it won't come out. There we go. Oops. Make sure it didn't move too much. Sometimes I get them to move. I have to get the little tails out of the way there. There we go. I think it's okay. Yeah, I think that's okay. Then we're going to glue this one down. A little bit at a time here. So when I do these, like I said, I usually just use the same design. And I just let it go off on the batting because I usually just let it sew. It's just, you could stop it if you want to, but I just usually let it sew because it's easier. And then I don't have to sit there and wait for it to go off the batting and stop it. But you do need to tape it because if you don't put that tape on there, I'll just tell you, your foot will go under the tape or under the fabric for sure. And so when I did the cuties, I figured out finally that, oh my gosh, I could actually zigzag the edges of the fabric down so I don't have to use any tape on the edges because that does not work for me at all. All right, so I'm going to put up another piece of tape over here. Put it over the edge, and then I'm going to push it down real well. Okay, so I've got the tape over the ends here so my foot won't flip under there. Make sure everything's good and pushed down. Get my hoop back in. All right. Make sure none of my ends are going to get caught. I think we're okay. Yep. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and, whoops, I think my thread's unthreaded again. I often unthread my machine when I'm sticking the hoop in and out. Let's try that again. There we go. All right. So now we're going to do the tack down, and we're going to watch this little piece right here, okay? And then it's going to go this way. This is when sometimes it catches for me, so I kind of watch it. I got to push down real hard, so it should be okay. But some machine brands do have a foot that hops. So if you have a hopping foot, it doesn't catch as easy as our feet, the stationary ones do. And some of the brother machines used to have hopping feet. There's still a couple of the little ones that do. But some of the bigger ones did too. And it didn't catch as easy on, stuff sticking up. So you have to watch things a little bit more now, but I think the tension's a lot better without the hopping. And they're also a lot quieter because the hopping up and down made noise, and I thought the machines were a lot noisier. All right, so we'll watch this one. Yep, I think we're okay. Once you get it tacked down, it's usually all right, but I still, you can still have a problem down here, so. All right. Okay, so now we're ready for the quilting. And like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and let it quilt. And in the meantime, while this is quilting, I'm going to show you the cuties, okay? So while I'll get this started. All right. So we're going to start with February. We're going to start in January, but we're going to start with February. So let me switch my camera up. While this is stitching. Okay, so here's the February one. And this one is done like in Valentine fabric. And this is just my fabric. This is just fabric I have in stock at home. So this one is the February one. We're going to do this one in January. And then see, we're going to quilt through the back. So I just put matching thread on the back so that it's kind of pretty on the back. And then I quilted it before we did the embroidery. So the embroidery was done at the end. Okay, so this is the February one. And then March will be in February. So here's the March one. This one's got the little kites on it. I even had an embroidery design, a quilting design with the quilt, with the kites. I don't know if you can see it. It has kites on it. So I got the little tails on the kites today. The little ribbons on the kites today. So this is really fun. And I know this looks really hard in the center, but it's super duper easy. This is a disappearing 9-patch. Very simple. I know it looks really hard, but it's not. Okay, so you can see the kites a little bit better maybe on the back. Okay, so this one we'll do in February. This is the March cutie. And then the April one has little umbrellas on it. And this one's got a super duper easy center as well. Okay, just little squares. This was really easy. And then here's, you can see that I quilted it, and then I did the embroidery through the back. I just changed if you just change the bobbin to match your regular thread on the top, it looks nice on the back. So let's give it some more color on the back. But this one's cute, and I got the little bows on this one today. This one needs little bows on the umbrellas. So got those done. And then I've got January's done, but we're going to do this one in December. So this is the January one with the little snowman. Okay. This is January. And this one has snowballs in it. So these are really easy blocks. I know they look hard, but they're not hard at all. So, and then this one I had like the little wintry swirls on the back. But you see the little snowman on the back? They look cute with the color. So I think those will be real fun to do. So I'm looking forward to them. I've been working at them. So there's the first ones anyway. I'll switch the camera back down again. All right. I think they're cute. I like the old ones really well, and I like the new ones, but I don't like to have to stitch in the ditch to finish the. See, the new ones are done in the hoop, so they're not going to. Are you using Kimberly quilting designs on the cuties? Yes, I am. But these are the clear blue tile ones. They're not the actual cutie ones. The cutie ones are meant to be block by block, okay? Because the new ones are block by block, and then you put a solid piece of fabric on the back and stitch in the ditch. These are going to be quilted like a traditional topper and then embroidered. So I'm using clear blue tiles on these. And you can use any ones you have, any ones you want. I'm just using ones that I thought looked cute with the design. So like the January one, I used the clear blue tile files because I had that Christmassy one or the wintry one. So I thought it was cute. All right. So there is our finished outer border. Okay. And I'm just going to I'll take the tape off and I'll trim them. Okay. All up, and those are all done. So let's go ahead and just set up the smaller ones so you know how to do that. And those are going to be sewn exactly the same way as the ones we just got done. Okay. So I probably won't sew, all of it. I'll just do like a hooping, and then you're on your own. I know you can do it. Okay. So for these, I'm actually going to switch to a 12-inch design because I have, they're such narrow borders. These are going to be 1 inch because these are unfinished 1.5. So these are going to finish at 1 inch. I'm going to use the same Christmas border 2 And I'm going to do 2 of them at a time. So I'm using my old border hoop, and this is 12 inches. Just because it's really good on the, I have to hoop it 4 times in there, but it's just because it saves a lot of stabilizer. I can use 2 hoopings with 1 piece of my pre-cut stabilizer. So even though I have to hoop it 1 more time, it saves me stabilizer. So, all right, so let's go get this one set up. We're going to do the same thing we did with the other one. So find my design on my stick. Second, I got glue on my fingers. I'm going to go down here to Kimberbell Quilting. And then this was Border Christmas 2. And then this one's kind of a little, like a little leafy design almost. So we're going to go to Embroidery Designs, block by block. What size is this hoop? This is the old border hoop. This hoop is 4 by 12. And I really like it. It's kind of expensive, but it's a nice old hoop, and you can still get it. It's expensive though, but I like it because see, it has these little things here, and there's a little button on the end, and when you let go, it pops up like this, and then these push down. This is just an awesome. I still use this all the time, so I got it long time ago with my Quattro, I think. Okay, so we're going to use the 1 by 12 is the one that's going to be for this hoop. And I'm going to get my 1 by 12, and see it has like little leaves on it. Okay, I'm going to hit set, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to go edit, duplicate. I'm going to go move, and we're just going to move it over a little bit. Leave a little space in between, and then I'm going to move it up a little bit so that they're pretty even and look pretty good. Okay, because I have to watch my width here. So 3.73 is a little bit, but they're not centered yet. So I'm going to hit OK, and I think it's going to be okay. But I'm going to select all down here, and I'm going to select the whole thing, and then I'm going to hit center. And 3.73 is small enough. It's just barely small enough, but it is small enough. I could make them a little closer together, and I might do that just for safety, because this hoop is very, see if I can get it to, there we go. I just want one of them to move. There we go. This hoop is really narrow, so I have to kind of, it's just barely 4. So I like to keep them pretty close together. Okay. All right. So I've got my 2 pieces here, got them all. If I want to make sure that they are centered again, we'll just make sure. Okay. Like that. And then I'm going to go embroidery. And then I'm going to go to layout and the color sort button. Okay, and then it's going to color sort those. So now all of the placement lines are together, all the tack down lines together, and so on. Okay, so I'll just get it started, and then we can say goodnight. But these are going to be the same way. This one I am going to have to hoop it 4 times, just because it's a little shorter. I just like this old hoop for these little narrow ones, so works real slick. I have some chunks of Addy that are long enough and narrow enough for these, so we'll see if this might work. Yeah, it is a nice hoop. They're kind of expensive now. Well, they always were. They're about $400. I mean, they're expensive, but I mean, the thing is, like the magnetic hoops, the new magnetic hoops, or some of them are $600. So I guess $400 sounds cheap, right? So I use it quite a bit, and then they make a small one too, with one that's only like 7 inches long, and I use it sometimes too if I'm doing little things. So, but these borders look really great in it, and so what I do is when I clamp the other side, see, I can get another whole hooping out of this side over here. Yeah, hoops are expensive. Some of them aren't, some of them are. It depends on what you want. The magnetic ones are expensive. So 8 by 12, just the plain 8 by 12. The 8 by 12 hoop actually is really cheap, believe it or not. Um, that one's one of the cheapest hoops is the 8x12. It's an older one. And then the 8x8 is actually quite cheap. So if you don't have those, Anna, those shouldn't be too terribly expensive. And if you need them, you can call us and I can ship them to you. Because they're not, I don't even think they're $100. Because I love the 8x12. Yes, I use the diamagnetic hoops all the time. Yes, I love them. I quilt with them. So you probably haven't seen any of my videos that I quilt because I almost always quilt with the dime hoops. And I've been using those. I like the new Brother hoops. They're really nice. They're a little pricey. They don't have quite the right sizes yet. The 10x10 is really not long enough, and the other one's only 7 inches wide by 14, so it's not really wide enough. So I don't use those much. They're kind of odd sizes. So I like the dime hoops. Yeah, I use them all the time. Yeah, if you go back and look at like the Gather Together pillow, I use the dime hoop for the quilting and and actually all the embroidery in the Gather Together pillow that I just finished in November. So you might want, or October. So you might want to go watch that, and then you can see me using the hoops. But I use them all the time. When I'm just hooping a piece of stabilizer in the hoop, I generally use a standard hoop because I think it holds it better than the magnetic ones because they don't hold tight enough if there's just that one little thing in there. So I usually use a standard hoop when I'm just hooping like just a piece of no-show mesh because that's all I've got in this hoop. Okay, so we'll do our trimming for the little borders here. Depends on what you're doing. And like I said, I have all the Brother standard hoops. I use all the different sizes, but it depends on what I'm doing. You know, when I'm quilting, I usually use the magnetic ones just because it's easier to get it in and out. So this one is a little hard to trim in because this little thing down here gets in my way in my hand. But I still love this old hoop. I think this is actually Judy's hoop. I kind of permanently borrowed it from her. So, and I use it all the time. I don't think she used it. And she said, oh, here, why don't you just use mine? And I was going to do a class or something. And I've never given it back because I use it all the time. But I do a lot more quilting this way than she does. Okay. Get this one. You can see I'm doing it the same way, just narrower. Okay, so these borders are pretty easy. Once you get on a roll, you can get all these borders done really quickly. And I like to do a couple of them at a time. You could do more. You know, if you want to do a great big hooping, you could do 4 borders at once if you wanted to. You know, just depending. It's just depending on how big your border or your hoops are. I usually do a couple at a time because I feel that's all I can do. Oh, yeah, Judy said, Judy's on tonight. She says, yes, they're mine. I should make you quilt mine because I have the hoop. Well, you could stick your 1-inch borders in with your other ones, Judy. But I've had it for, how long have I had it, Judy? It's been a long time. I've actually had it for a long time. And then the other one I think is hers too, isn't it? Isn't the short one yours too? The one that I've got, the 7-inch one. It's like 4x7. I think that one's yours too. That's funny. I forgot that Judy was on tonight. All right, so I'm getting my. I tell you what, I make such a mess of my glue stick. All right, so we got our batting, or sorry, my fabric placement line, just like the other ones. Yes, the short one is too. Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, she said years, and it has been. I've had them for years. Okay, so I'm going to go across the top with these. Since these are shorter, I usually do both of them at the same time. Okay, and then I'm going to take, I'm going to go ahead and just cut my selvage off the top, so I don't have to worry about that selvage getting in there by accident. So I'm just going to cut my selvage off the top, because these were like, these were my borders that were one width of the fabric. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, again, about 1/4 of an inch above the batting. And I think in the instructions it says half, but I usually do about 1/4. Okay. And then we're going to glue it down. Let's get the other one in there. These little narrow ones I can usually do at the same time. Trim my selvage off. Okay. Get those there. Push it down, and then we'll just flip the little tails up and glue them down, and just away we go, just like the other ones. Now you can see my blue color is a little bit darker than the original one. It's a little bit more blue. The other one was a little bit more turquoise. So my borders are going to look a little different. Oops, running out of glue. All right. But yeah, Brothers had a lot of hoops over the years, and they actually have one of these border hoops for the PR too. And I'm hoping to do more PR classes. Also, I want to sew a little bit on the PR for you guys, so you can see that you can actually do the same things I do in this machine. The only reason I always use this machine is just because I can sit down at it, but I do the same things I'm doing in this machine in my multiple needle. And I know a few of you do have multiple needles, and some people don't use them very much, but I like to quilt in mine. And so you can do everything in that machine that you can do in this one. So, and the hoops are a little smaller in that machine, but not significantly so. That, you know, like most of these are be fine, these designs. All right, get this one started, but I wanted you to see what the little pattern looked like on this one. The pattern's cute, so at least do one hooping. But all the hoopings are going to be just the same as we did with the long ones, the wider ones, just a little bit narrower strips. Getting them pressed down. All right. And we're going to tack them down. Oops, can't get my hoop back in. There it goes. This one at least goes in easy. That 9x14 has always been really hard. Now we're going to do the tack downs. I at least wanted you to see the little design. It's very cute. And you can really see it on that blue. And then I'll finish these up tonight, so then all my borders will be done, ready to be put on the pillow next week. Because we got to do a little bit of work with the that piece of glitter vinyl before we do the sewing. So we'll have to do a little bit of glitter vinyling before we do the stitching. So next week when we put it together. Can you believe it's going to be December already, and we're going to put it together, and then we're going to have a break until after the 1st of January. I can't believe it's almost December. All right, so it's going to do the final tack down. Looks like I got them pretty straight. And then I'll get it started so you can see the pretty little decorative. This is a real cute little decorative stitch. All right, so the last step is going to be the decoratives and the quilting. So there we go. So this will be the same way. Then I'll take it out of the hoop. I'll trim it with my scissors. I'll do the the placement line for the batting and the batting, and then I'll do the placement line for the fabric. We'll flip the little tail up and put it in the hoop just like I did the other one. So both of these borders are done the same way. Isn't that cute little design? I like the little flowers. And then you can do them both at the same time, and they go pretty quick. So this will be 4 hoopings on this one. Yes, the tape does not work very well for me. I struggled with the tape. I did my first one that way, and I thought there has to be an easier way. And all of a sudden I went, duh, I need to do the glue. So the glue works great. So there's the little, that's the small border. So I'm going to do this exactly the same way as I did the other one. And then we'll have both of the borders ready for next week to put it together. All right, does anybody have any questions? I'll turn the camera up here. And then we will say goodnight while this is I'm gonna let it sew. And then next week we're gonna finish putting the pillow together. Where's my pillow? Here it is. So we're gonna do, you have to do this little thing at the bottom. Can you see the glitter vinyl down there? So we got to put that on first, sew the blocks together. So if you have time to sew your blocks together with your 1/4-inch seam, you can do that. But don't sew anything else on, because we got to put this on first before we put the borders on, because it's sewn in the seam. Okay. So that whole long skinny piece of glitter vinyl has to be put on. All right. So that's one of the first things we got to do. And then I might actually sew some of my buttons on in advance, because it takes me forever to sew buttons on. And then we're going to put crystals on. So I'll show you how to put the crystals on. And then there's some little buttons. So the one little button set has all these cute little buttons with the like snowman and the little penguin. It's got snowflakes and little cups of cocoa. So it's going to be really cute. Okay, so somebody who said see me Wednesday, it's going to be Thursday. Oh, Margaret, it's not Wednesday, it's Thursday. Oh, Wednesday? What is Wednesday? No. Well, you'll see me Wednesday on Shields Live, yes. But the class in the store is Thursday, and you'll see Lynn down there. So, okay. So we'll have class Wednesday afternoon and Thursday in the store. So we're going to have all kinds of classes this week. So, all right. So everybody have a good week. I'll see some of you on Shields Live on Wednesday afternoon. We're going to do a PR, one of the big machine demonstrations. We're going to do the PR. And then for that, I haven't advertised yet, but I'll get it done on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, then we'll start the little demos in the store for those of you who are coming to that. So, okay. So everybody have a good week, and I will see you next Sunday, or if not before. So have a good week, everybody. Good night.